And welcome to the funniest show in the world.
Shit.
Episode 1 of the 11th Hour, take 1, replay tonight.
Welcome to the 11th Hour. The 11th Hour, it's where the trouble is. I'm Steve Izard.
I'm Peter Moon.
And I'm Marianne Fahey.
And we'll be with you each and every Friday night, bringing you the world's first live late-night 11 o'clock current affairs roundup. Each week, we'll be reviewing the major events from around the globe.
And closer to home.
And closer to home. We'll also be bringing you some pretty hard-hitting stories that you won't be seeing on your daily news services.
That's because they're just too gutless, that's why. Too gutless. We're dominated by multimedia conglomerates in this country. It makes me sick, I can tell you.
We'll also be bringing you
right up my nose. Yeah.
We'll also be bringing you some pretty exclusive interviews and presenting some pretty controversial reports on key issues that affect all of our lives. I think you're going to be pretty damn impressed. But now for the major stories of the week, Marianne.
Thanks, Steve. Well, after months and months of negotiations, the United States and the USR have finally agreed to a treaty which limits the amount of nuclear weapons. Until only a few hours ago, we didn't know much about it, but we have with us here exclusive footage via satellite of the unveiling of this exclusive treaty.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press. In the interests of world peace, the Joint Committee for Strategic Arms Limitation has unanimously passed the following resolutions. 1. It is hereby agreed that the number of missiles which are placed in a given area will from here on be limited to the number of missiles that can be placed in that area. 2. Neither country shall manufacture nuclear weapons except for military purposes, and both sides will allow the free observation by independent observers of all visible emplacements. 3. With regard to international conflicts, it is agreed that no country shall compete in any war with any other country except where a state of war exists between them, and that no undeclared state of war shall be deemed to be a state of war except insofar as a country declares an undeclared state of war to exist. Fourth and last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, neither country shall interfere with the sovereignty and independence of any other country, except insofar as that country is situated on the continents of Africa, South America, or Asia, or any other bits as deemed necessary by the Joint Committee from time to time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Meanwhile, the world experienced a major upheaval on the religious front. Peter.
Thanks, Steve. Catholics all over the world were stunned today by the announcement. Look, just before I go on with this, Cheryl, if you're watching out there, you said I was never going to make it, didn't you? What's it you called me? A no-hoper. Or what's it like being stuck out in East Burwood with a bald chiropodist? I guess you just picked the wrong man, eh, Cheryl? Yeah, Catholics all over the world was stunned. And Craig Braithwaite, if you're watching, I remember he used to pick on me at school. He used to beat me up. What'd you get? A job at the railways or something? Eat poop. I'm on TV.
Perhaps Marianne Fay would like to take that story up.
Thanks, Steve. And back to Steve.
My story. The Catholic Church is in turmoil following yesterday's shock admission by the Vatican that the Pope is not, as was previously thought, infallible. Derek Scone has that story.
The story began 2 days ago when word leaked out of the Vatican that the Pope had lost his car keys that morning. Church officials initially tried to dismiss the allegation, but were eventually forced to admit that it was true. He couldn't find them anywhere. The shockwaves have spread all over the Catholic world, and reports are now filtering back of hundreds of thousands of Catholics flocking to the Holy City to cash in their rosary beads. It's not the first time there have been rumours of papal blunders. In 1982, there was an allegation that the Pope had dialed the wrong telephone number, but at the time it was brushed off as due to a technical error. This time there are no such excuses. His Holiness simply goofed. The result? Hundreds of thousands of Catholics bitter and disillusioned.
Oh, it's like having a childhood dream shattered. I mean, we've been living a lie.
So will you be going to church from now on?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, we've already been had once.
Yes, once bitten, twice shy.
How do you see your lifestyle changing because of this?
Now that we've found out the Pope is bogus, that frees us to broaden our horizons. For instance, the people next door, a young couple, he works at a College of Advanced Education in the Sociology Department, and he's made certain suggestions to us which hitherto we haven't been able to...
And we were quite flattered by the... I hope we don't have to start enjoying it, that's all.
Meanwhile, in an attempt to stem the barrage of media criticism and the veritable tide of Catholics converting to Buddhism, this afternoon the Pope released this proclamation. Quote, "So I made a mistake. What do you want? I'm only human." Derek Scone from Rome.
We'll be back with more in just a moment. They were sweet little old ladies until suddenly, overnight, they turned into mothers. Mothers, when they come, there's no hiding place. They may seem sweet and gentle at first, but whatever you do, don't let them into your kitchen. And don't let them into the bedroom. And most of all, whatever you do, don't introduce them to your girlfriend. It's 2 hours of sock-rolling horror. Mothers, coming to push the hair back off your face.
Hi, welcome to the show. We hope you're enjoying it. I'm Mark Mitchell, and I'll be here with Peter, Steve, Marianne and all the 11th Hour gang to bring you the very best of entertainment over the next few weeks. Thank you. We hope that you enjoy watching us as much as we enjoy being watched by you. And I hope that each Friday night, no matter what sort of week you've had, we'll be able to bring a little bit of sunshine into your lives. I was just telling Di before, Di's my fiancée. She's at home now watching the show. Hello, darling. It really is a wonderful feeling to be able to bring some happiness into people's lives. On a very serious note, we're ever conscious of the amount of suffering that's going on around us, never more so than now. We've got a fabulous show for you with some really wonderful guests. I've got Mel Torme, Sammy Davis Jr. I'll be talking with Kirk Douglas and spending about 8 days with Van Johnson. And a fabulous team of performing chimpanzees. All that and more, so stay tuned.
And now to sport. Golf fans around the world were shocked.
Who was that?
That was Mark.
Mark
Golf.
who?
Contractual thing.
What's he doing here? I didn't know he was in the show. He's not in the show.
Casey's nephew.
I wasn't told about this.
Well, yes, we certainly... I don't know about chimpanzees, but we certainly do have some hard-hitting stories about the Australian Masters Golf Chimpanzeemanship. Championship. Slip. Golf fans were shocked by this incident which occurred on the 18th green in the final moments of the tournament.
Ian Baker Thrush here on the 18th hole of the Huntingdale course, about to putt in what I think should be the last stroke of this championship. He will win, of course, and $500,000 riding on this one putt, and he will, of course, be the new Australian Masters Championship. And it's been a quite exceptional round.
It's been quite an extraordinary round, Jeff, and this putt should be the culmination of some of the best golf we've seen in this country for many a year.
The pressure on this young man is quite incredible.
He's taking quite a lot of time over this putt, as you can imagine. $500,000 resting on it. He lines up now.
Tension there, I can't quite describe the tension. It really is incredible.
There's Buster Cleveland, the man who's brought Ian. Hold on, there's a bit of a disturbance here.
There's a hole in the green.
He's made a joke.
What a cool customer is. He's making a joke, breaking the tension.
I've spent the best 25 years of my life hitting a ball into a hole. I mean, that is stupid.
Saying something here.
Seems to be
Something going on down
something
there.
going on.
I'm hitting a ball.
He's addressing the crowd.
I'm walking around.
That's
hitting
extraordinary,
a ball
Jeff. He
into
seems
a
to be
hole.
making
What do you think about that?
He's making a speech to the crowd.
Stupid.
Make goddamn putt.
I mean, 25 years for what? Huh? I wanted to be a singer.
He wanted to be a singer.
Same thing.
I don't think he's going to make the putt. I really don't think he's going to make the putt. Now he's singing to the crowd. And it's quite a pleasant voice.
Ian Baker Thrush is actually singing to the crowd,
Very
right?
pleasant
Go home,
voice.
everybody.
Bass.
Go home. This is stupid. This
He's
is
telling
really
them to go.
stupid.
He's telling them to go home.
This is
And they're
extraordinary.
actually
They are
going.
leaving the course.
This is incredible.
He's not going to make the putt.
There are 10,000 people
Leaving
walking
in
off the
droves.
Huntingdale
I have
golf
never
course right
seen
at this moment,
anything
and
like this.
I've never seen anything. This will certainly be brought up at these officials' meetings.
400,000.
That was really hysterical.
Was it?
Yeah, it was anti-establishment.
Oh.
That wasn't funny.
No.
There are some things that just shouldn't be laughed at.
And that was one of them.
No, that just wasn't funny.
All right.
So why did you laugh then?
It was an anti-laugh. I'm not got a really any sense of humour. I laugh at things that aren't funny.
But you were amused.
Yeah, but it was correct line amusement.
Look, it's not that I don't have a sense of humour, right?
Oh, I don't either.
It's just that I don't think people should laugh when there's so much unhappiness in the world.
I take your criticism, Jane, and I thank you for it. Are we allowed to laugh at that?
Well, it was just mildly amusing.
How can you tell?
Because a woman said it.
Oh! Is that funny?
I don't know, I'll just ring Kate and find out.
Oh, it's so hard to tell. We're going to have to get a colour teller, Jane.
Oh, hello, Kate. Oh, okay. All right, I'll ring you back later, okay?
What'd you say?
She said she's watching something really hysterical on television and she doesn't want to be disturbed.
Oh, I wonder what it is.
A dramatic twist in the Carl Lewis saga. Not 24 hours after the unaccountable disappearance of Carl Lewis, the fastest man in the world, Carl Lewis has just as dramatically reappeared, or rather a man claiming to be Carl Lewis has come forward. Now in a television first, we have with us live, exclusive in the studio, that man. Please make welcome Carl Lewis.
You bet your ass. Get down. Woo! Honky boys. Woo! Get down. Woo!
Mr. Lewis,
call me Carl. Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Woo! Get down, honkies. Woo! I love you.
Carl, I can't help notice in the colour department,
yes, sir.
You appear to be a smidgen
yeah,
on the pallid side.
Yeah, and proud of it. Black is beautiful, brothers and sisters. I love you all. Woo!
What I'm saying, Carl, is that in fact you're white.
Yeah, well, you know, that's I'm not going to evade that question because that's a fundamental question. Yeah, that's right. I mean, what you got to understand is that a man goes through changes. I mean, you know, that's part of my personal tragedy. You see, I'm a white man, a black man, trapped in a white man's body. I think I got that right. Get down. Woo! Get back up again.
On the subject of your body, Mr. Lewis, just looking at it now, it really is difficult to believe that that's the body that won the 100 and 200 metre sprints at the last Olympics.
Yeah, well, you know, I will admit that I'm a little slow off the blocks at the moment, but I'm sure my fans know that I'm the best in the world, and I'm going to be right back up there. I mean, I desperately want to be believed in this despite my personal tragedy.
Carl, if I can just hit you with this, looking at you now, most people who are looking at this are really going to think that you're an imposter doing what really amounts to an offensively racist caricature.
Now listen, don't jive me, honky. I'm sick of being put down by white honkies. Now look, I told you a man goes through changes. That's it.
Mr. Lewis,
no sensitivity.
If I can just cut you short there, what possible changes could you have gone through to be changed from a lithe black Olympic champion into a balding, short, fat white man? I think, Mr. Lewis, we're really talking credibility here, if I can put a word to it. Credibility.
Yeah, credibility. Yeah, that's right. And I'm gonna. Yeah, sure. Short, fat white man. Yeah. Well, yeah. What changes? Yeah, I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna answer. Sure. Well, it was like this. Now, what experience? I was driving along in my automobile, in my limousine. I was driving along in the desert, and I looked up and I saw a light, honky. I saw a light, and it was a spaceship. I know you don't believe me, but I didn't believe it either, honky. And I looked up and I saw that it was like that show V. You see that show V on TV? They got great honky, ugly mothers of Martians up there, you know, Episcopalian, some other life form, something like that, you know, big, ugly reptiles up there, and they ain't got enough to eat on their own planet, you see, so that's why they took me up there to fatten me up, you see, to put me in the fridge, but luckily I escaped because one of those ugly mothers left me on the side of his plate, you know, but I got out through the garbage disposal, they dropped the car on the ground, smashed the whole suspension, cost me $300, you know, and that's God's own truth on my own mother's grave. You know, that is the absolute truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. God bless you. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Top black athlete kidnapped by reptilian aliens. We'll let you be the judge on that one. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Hi, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, for your pleasure, we have the world's greatest escapologist. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to the great Zambogini. The great Zambogini will perform a feat that defies death. And if any children are watching, you should be in beds by now, but by all means, don't attempt this yourselves. In just a moment, the great Zambogini is going to strip down to his briefs. I'm going to handcuff him. He'll be sewn into a canvas sack, chained, locked in a chest. That will also be chained and padlocked and lowered into a pool by crane. This is a death-defying act a first time for television. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Zambogini. Just before we ask Zambogini to strip down to his briefs, may I ask you, great Zambogini, what sort of preparation have you done for this incredible feat?
Enough.
Well, fine. Without further ado then, I will ask you to strip down to your briefs. Can I just give you a... Well, look, we seem to be having some sort of technical difficulty here, so we'll be back in just a moment. But right now, here's a very important message for you.
In 1976, doctors here at New York's Oppenheim Clinic worked round the clock to isolate a mystery disease which struck at Legionnaire clubmen, which later became known as Legionnaire's disease. Since that time, a research team here at the clinic, led by Professor Carl Boyer, have been working full-time on the mystery virus. They've now isolated 5 new diseases closely related to Legionnaire's disease: Apex disease, Rotarian's disease, Lion Club blight, Freemason syndrome, and Loyal Oddfellows scourge.
When we sat down to try and isolate the virus which caused the Legionnaire's disease, we were surprised to find that there were a whole host of these diseases of a very similar nature which cause great distress to many people across America and the rest of the world. Some of these diseases are extremely debilitating when they reach their tertiary phases, as I'd like to demonstrate to you right now. This patient is suffering from what we call herpes apex, or Rotarian's disease. Notice that the patient has completely lost any sense of color. He is in fact colorblind. Also, he has put on an enormous amount of weight and retaining fluid around his abdominal area down here. Notice a fixed smile up there. And you'll notice that these people have a corresponding psychological syndrome which causes them to crave love and affection. You'll find them performing rather bizarre deeds such as clearing, guttering on houses or raking up leaves. How can we detect these patients? Well, one clue is in their handshake. Just watch what happens when I offer him my hand. Notice that? The hand's in complete spasm there. He's crushing my hand there. Absolute total contraction there. And when I try to extract my hand, there's another event. Watch this. There's a reflex from the other hand immediately when I do that. Okay, this is another patient. This man's suffering from what we call Freemason syndrome. Notice again that there is an impairment of the perceptual faculties up there. Only in this case, he can't stand any colors at all. Notice the little buttons here that are broken out on the lapels, and again the retention of the fluid around here. Only with the Freemasons we find an extra disability, a very painful distension of the genital area, which some of them try to cover up with this sort of apron down here. There's also a very debilitating skin disease that they get around the legs, which makes it impossible for them to bear clothing. They have to roll their trouser legs up there. Again, how do we tell these patients? Well, one clue again is from the handshake. Watch what happens. Looks like an ordinary handshake, but no.
Harry was such a good man. And then he started mowing lawns for people and going to meetings and things. And then he became district governor, and things have not been the same since.
You're going
Oh, sit down, honey. Sit down. It's not good for the kids, and I can't take him anywhere, and I don't know what to do.
Get your mincer off the
Oh, shush, Harry.
Doctors have isolated the tiny microorganisms which cause the mystery diseases, and they look like this. And how many people are suffering from the mystery diseases?
Chuck, at present, we feel there could be as many as 1.5 million in the community. We're encouraging anyone who feels that members of their family could have been exposed to these diseases to contact us here at the clinic.
Professor, the big one, is there a cure?
Chuck, I wish I could say there was. At present, there's nothing we can do to stem the tide of this tragedy.
A tragedy that's being repeated around the nation as these related diseases strike at the heart of Western civilization. It's a race against the clock, but who will win? Chuck Wankovitz, New York, for the 11th Hour.
Now to the ANZUS crisis. We sent roving reporter Mark Neal out into the street to see what Australians think about the ANZUS treaty.
Excuse me. We're asking people today about the ANZUS Treaty. Do you think it's relevant to Australia?
Is it my hearing or is he a foreigner? He looks Asian to me. Yes, yes he does. Bloody go and ask a policeman with a hat on, because we can't help you, we only speak the Queen's English.
The ANZUS Treaty.
He's tall for an Asian though, isn't he? Yes, yes he is tall for an Asian. Yes, don't mind the Asians myself. They're a very nice people. I suppose if you like one, you like the lot, really, don't you? Yes, yes. Nice looking kid. Yes, he is. He's a bit puffy for my liking, though. Oh, yeah, but I don't mind a puff, really. Oh, no, I've got nothing against a puff. I'm just saying that he is a bit puffy. Do you get Asian puffs, though? Oh, I don't know. I don't suppose they could get the accent. Yes, it's not natural, though, is it? What? Puffs? Oh, I thought you meant Asians. No, puffs! Asians is as natural as buggery. I don't have anything against a puff, because a neighbour of ours is one, and is a very nice chappie. Very good with his P's and Q's, he is. Yes. It's a pity we can't ask him over, though. But you can't, really. Not with the kiddies next door and all. And, of course, he gives Jack the creeps. You know, and if you've got the creeps, you've got them, haven't you? Yes, yes, I suppose you have. Yes.
Well, thanks very much for your time.
It's our pleasure. Now, off you go. Go on. Shoot.
Thank you very much. Thank you and goodbye.
Funny boy. Yes. I wonder what that thing was in his hand. Yes.
Well, you heard what they had to say on the streets. Now let's cross to Canberra to get the views of a top foreign affairs expert. Welcome to the program, Mr. Goblet.
My pleasure.
Mr. Goblet, what do you think about the whole ANZUS question?
To be honest, I've never really thought about it.
But you're a top foreign affairs expert.
Yeah, well, I guess you got me there.
Well...
Yeah, well, I guess you got me there. You know, I didn't want to say this, Jane, but I reckon we've got to start all over again with a brand new ANZUS treaty.
Well, how do you mean new, Mr. Goblet?
Well, by new, I mean we ought to get rid of the stirrers like America, New Zealand and Australia and replace them with other countries.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Mr. Goblet.
What we need is some fresh blood. I know Spain, for example, would just love to get involved with something like this.
Yes, well, thank you, Mr.
Norway,
Goblet. Look, we'll just
and
cross
perhaps
to a
Pakistan.
short commercial break now, and we'll
Also,
be back
Bulgaria
in just a
comes to
moment.
mind. Or we could try Finland, because they're always looking for something to do.
Cheryl, wake up! Why, did I miss something good? No, but it's rude. And anyway, you should be laughing, because apparently this is really funny. How can you tell? I don't get any of it. Me neither. That's exactly how you tell. It's like the Gillies report. What's that? What's the Gillies report? It was the most fantastic show on television. Was it? What was it about? Oh, it was about politics and that, but it was still really good. The guys really liked it. Oh yeah, who was in it? That guy Bob Hawke. Who's he? Bob Hawke, the comedian. All right, yeah, he's a real stunk, isn't he? I don't know that I call him a stunk exactly. But yeah, he's really, really nice. But guess what? What? Apparently he's got charisma. You're kidding. No. Geez, he hides it well. Yeah, he's so brave. But apparently it's not fatal. Oh, good. And why did they call it the Gillies report? Oh, it's a political reference to the Prime Minister, Max Gillies. All right. Was it as good as Denny Hill? Oh, Cheryl, you couldn't compare the two. No, I didn't think so, because, geez, Denny Hill's so funny, I really pissed myself. Oh, Cheryl, your sense of humour is off. OF. Yours is. Yours is. Hey, Cheryl, fake it. We're on the monitor. We're on television.
Two girls really enjoying a great comedy show. Just chatting about nuclear disarmament.
Yeah, they're a great group.
Aren't they? Cheryl, you just look gorgeous on television.
I do not. I look shocking.
You don't.
Mary Ann, I look like a ventriloquist dummy.
You don't, Cheryl.
I do. It runs in me family.
Oh, stop it.
It's true, Mary Ann.
Since when have you had a family? I've never heard you talk about them before.
Would you look your first cousins are Jerry G and this piggy?
Oh, Cheryl, stop it. Look, if anyone looks like a ventriloquist dummy, I do. Guys are always saying what a doll I am. You're so real. I reckon you should get into TV, Cheryl.
Me? Go on TV, get nicked.
Why not? I reckon you'd be great at it.
Mary Ann, I can't act.
Cheryl, neither can most people on television. And anyway, you can so act.
What do you mean?
Well, what about with Graham all those years?
What about it?
Well, you told me you faked orgasm every time.
Yeah, I did.
Well, that's acting.
No, it's not. He knew.
Oh, well, I still think you'd be really good. You'd be better than the girls in this show. They're pathetic. Why don't you audition for it?
Mary Ann, I can't. To be a comedian, you have to have a really tragic life.
Yeah, well, I reckon being on the pill for 2 years and never a chance to use it's pretty tragic.
Nah, I couldn't anyway because of my speech impediment.
Oh, Cheryl, you steak fine.
Do you reckon?
Oh, maybe it's a bit lazy. Just do a few exercises.
Like what?
Just do this every day.
Oh, yuck!
Oh, come on, Cheryl, have a go.
I can't. I haven't got a tongue.
All right,
And also, there are two guys over there staring their guts out at us.
over where?
Over there, next to Horrorhead.
Hey, they're cute.
Are they what? Which one do you want?
I don't care, I'll have either.
Mary Ann, don't act so desperate.
Who's acting? I'd kill for a relationship. Hey, Cheryl, I think we better go to the toilets. They know we're talking about them.
I don't need to go.
Cheryl, the Big Bang Theory. Let's discuss it.
All right. Hey, what if my boy's a dickhead?
Oh, you'll probably get on really well, I reckon, Chess. Come on, let's go.
We've got a real treat for you now. We've got a guy who knows everyone, and I mean everyone in show business. He knows all the stars. He spent a lot of time in the States and England and a lot of other places in Europe to that generally. Anyway, that's not relevant, but glad you could make it.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Right. Now, in the dressing room before the show, we were sort of rapping, and you said you're a personal friend of David Bowie's.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about what David's like sort of as a person?
Love to. David is a really sensitive guy. Actually, at his last recording session, Michael dropped in.
Jackson.
Yeah. And he said, you know, Bowie is a really sensitive guy. Diana agreed with him.
Oh, that's Lady Di.
No, Diana Ross. I think Bowie's a bit far out for Lady Di. She's more into groups like the Wombles, ABBA. As a matter of fact, I was staying with Charles and Di recently when Stig asked me to drop his record into them from his island. They loved it. So did Barry.
Is that Manilow?
Well, we're not talking Barry Crocker, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, like, when I was researching you and everything, a lot of people told me that you were very close with Rolf, you know, as in Harris.
Who said that? No. Well, all right, I tried to help him out with his actor bit. I mean, a lot of people did. Cliff.
Richard.
Perry.
Como.
Leo.
Sayer.
Duran. Boy.
George.
Donovan. Yeah, well, Prince, Madonna. Let me see now. B-52s, Pretenders, Blondie. We all tried to help, but I mean, hopeless. Hopeless.
Yeah, well, you know, of all the people that you were sort of closest to, you know, in the world of show business, who are you closest to?
Well, I'll probably get shot for saying this, but I still like to spend a lot of time with Paul, George, and Ringo.
Oh, that's just fantastic, isn't it? It's great, yeah. Look, moving along there, you know, because we've got to wrap this up time-wise.
Okay.
But just one question. What's your name? Your name?
All right, don't rush me.
Your name? This guy.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk. Tonight, let's talk hype. Hype was originally the native language of the people of Los Angeles, California, but has recently become almost a second language to people throughout the world. You can encounter it on Madison Avenue, New York, the beach at Cannes, St Kilda Road, South Melbourne, and of course in Sydney. So let's have a listen to this new Esperanto of the Espresso Bar and see how we go.
Hey, how you going, baby? Gorgeous, looking good. Hey, yeah, sure.
Hello.
Hey, Milo, uno macchiato et cafe latte. No, on second thoughts, just make that my usual.
I come here quite often.
Boy, have I got one hell of a hangover from the AFI Awards last night. Really tied one on. Hey, baby, looking gorgeous. Tell me, what are you doing these days?
I can't remember your name.
Great. Good to see it working for you. Nice to see things are happening. Me? What am I doing? Boy, where do I start?
I don't remember my name.
I've got a whole series of projects at the moment, a 13-part mini-series, couple of docos, you know, writing stuff, promotional, advertising, few radio plays, and knocked up a couple of rock and roll video clips, you know.
I'm unemployed.
Keep this under your hat, but we're on the verge of tying up a big deal of 16 telemovies for a US cable network.
I'd like to make a film.
We're thinking about shooting back-to-back, 6-week turnaround, edit CMX, Dolby 36 track, M&Es for Europe, of course. Jack Thompson or Mel Gibson principal roles, and Frankie Coppola or George Miller directing. Harrison Ford's quite interested, and that reminds me, I've got to ring New York.
I've never made a film before.
Hey, Milo, ue la macchiato, huh?
I don't come here that often. Well, how did we go? It's not too hard, is it? Let's have a look at some of the key phrases that we're going to need. Genre, a film that someone else has already made. Unique, a film that no one has ever made before for good reason. Classic, a film we didn't like at first, but looks good in comparison to what's around now. Art house, a cinema that serves coffee at interval. Avant-garde, out of focus. Sensitive, it's got a horse in it. Sweeping, it's got 2 horses in it. Event, 3 horses and Jack Thompson. Pre-production, wondering how to do it. Post-production, wondering why we did it. Mini-series, a show for mini talents. Serial, a series named after breakfast food because it's sweet, mushy, and has little plastic people in it. No one understands my work. No one understands their work. Well, that's it for now. We'll be back next week and present another language for you in Let's Talk.
Hello there. Thank you for letting me into your homes. My name's Steve Transport, Minister for Crabs. Steve, Minister Transport for Crabs. It matters not. Very soon you'll be seeing a new-look railway system in this state. One that's efficient and cheap. The very latest in research and technology. We call it the rocket system. What is the rocket system? The rocket system is the very latest product of Scottish know-how and research. let's have a look at the new rocket train. Designed by top Scottish engineer George Stephenson, this remarkable piece of machinery can travel at speeds of upwards of 6 miles per hour, Fahrenheit. And being steam-based, the saving to you and I is immense. I watch the pennies and the pounds, will take care of themselves. And employment, too. Every train requires 2 men carrying red flags to walk in front of it. Now, this is just one more example of the government that's changing your transport system. What about our sleeper lane program? We are now the most sleeper-intensive government in the world. The new rapid transport system. Let us railroad you.
Hi. Welcome back. The Great Lamborghini is just going through a few minor technical difficulties. And until such time as we have that rectified, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave the Escape Act just for the moment. We have something very special for you. It is, in fact, one of the great reports of the show. So I'll just leave you in very good hands.
Some people have got it, some people haven't got it. Some say it doesn't exist. Maybe we know someone who's had it, maybe we've had it ourselves. To some it's a blessing, to others it's a curse. It starts with an A and it ends with an A. 2 words, first word, 5 syllables, sounds like anorexia nervosa, or guess who's not coming to dinner. Last week we talked about a disease that afflicts millions of Australians, anorexia nervosa. The response to that special report was overwhelming. In all the correspondence we received, 2 words featured more than any others: the and. Indeed, the response to that report was so overwhelming, we've decided to do a special follow-up report this week. Remember Michael? Michael was a 26-year-old closet anorexic, one of millions of anorexics in Australia.
I started when I was 17 years old. I started on the light stuff. Before long, I moved on to the even lighter stuff. Little Max, small M. Before you could say fast food, I was not using food at all, regularly. And I've not been using food ever since, really. I'd say I don't use food at least 3 times a day. Sometimes I don't use it 4 or 5 times.
But not everyone sees anorexia as a bad thing. To some it's a sign of physical and even spiritual well-being. Bob Smithers is a breakaway priest, the self-appointed head of the Church of Latter-day Anorexics.
Our Lord Jesus Christ, Saviour, was himself an anorexic. I mean, for instance, take the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount, all they had to eat was 1 tiny loaf of bread and 2 little fishes. There was nothing metaphorical in that. That's all they had to eat. I mean, Jesus Christ himself, for instance, I'll tell you, using the Shroud of Turin, we've been able to reconstruct our Lord's body, and we found that he had a 26-inch waist. He was absolutely tiny. He was a human beanpole. The crucifixion itself is a beanpole analogy. Now, the Last Supper. Let's move on to the Last Supper. The Bible tells us that all they had to eat was 1 tiny little skerrick of bread and 1 smidgen of wine. And that's all they ever had to eat. That was their staple diet, which was a good thing, really, because if our Lord Jesus Christ had to feed them all, he would have been able to only to afford maybe 2, 3 disciples tops. Now, understanding that our Lord Jesus Christ, Saviour, was an anorexic has helped us to a new understanding of the parables. For instance, take the parable about the camel passing through the eye of a needle, right? Now, hitherto, that has been thought to be a parable of impossibility. But if one considers the possibility of a very skinny camel and an anorexic camel, all things become possible. I mean, blessed be those who hunger and thirst.
A new group called the Right to Diet movement have formed a pro-starvation lobby. I spoke with an anorexic activist who requested that his identity be withheld.
Cedric, and I will call you Cedric because you want your identity protected.
Well, that's right, George.
But you are Cedric Lumley of 23 De Grove, Nunawading, 3130, Melways map reference page 97J10.
Well, I can't answer that, George.
Cedric, you are an anorexic. Why?
George, anorexics have just got to come out of the pantry. Like, this is a food of society, and skinny people have just got to have the right to be skinny.
But how can you claim to be anorexic when in fact you weigh over 21 stone?
George, I'm a skinny person trapped in a fat person's body. Like, I've always been attracted to skinny clothes, skinniness. Like skinny people are my people, but my family just don't understand.
Cedric, what can you do about it?
Well, George, I'm going to have the operation. The operation to be skinny.
Which operation's that?
Well, that's the operation where they staple your stomach. In my case, I'll be stapling my mouth as well.
Cedric's one of the lucky ones. He'll have that operation done by a team of surgeons, but many anorexics can't afford the proper job. They'll seek backyard staple jobs. I just purchased these staples and this staple gun and this While I was in there, 2 children, couldn't have been more than 14 or 15 years of age, purchased staples openly and freely across the counter, no questions asked. How do these young children use these staples? Excuse me, guys, what do you got there?
Staple gun.
And what do you do with the staple gun?
We fix ourselves.
How do you actually fix yourselves?
Put staples in there, right? You lock it shut, and you just pull the trigger. Except that it's loaded.
We'll cut that right there. It's got to be worth a leggy. Thanks, guys. So, there you have it. Food for thought. The cases of kids getting hepatitis from used staples grows daily. What about the kids who can't even wait for that? They find themselves coming down off a starvation high going cold turkey, cold chicken, cold ham and potato salad. They take their stomachs in their own hands. Who's going to help these gluttons for punishment? These young kids like Michael come in, out of the pantry. Well, there you have it. Maybe it's a disease, maybe it's a curse. Maybe everyone's a winner, or maybe everyone's a loser. Maybe that's food for thought, or maybe it's just icing on the cake.
God!
We'll let you be the judge of that. Since that story was filmed, young Michael, who'd long lost his appetite for food, lost his appetite for life.
Oh, how do you do? Arthur Robbins here. Or you can call me Uncle Arthur. I'm commissioner here at Channel 7 and have been for 20 years. Oh, they all come past my desk and I got a wink and a wave for all, and they're beaut young kids, you know. They parked all their cars too. Parked Ron Casey's Merc, to Princess Panda's horse-drawn carriage, to buy Greenheart semi-trailer, and they're a great bunch of kids. Great to see the young kids at 11th Hour having a bit of a go-to, isn't it? Because I've been involved in show business now for 20 years, you know, so I could probably give them a few pointers. We had a bloke in the army, Sparrow Watkins was his name. Now Sparrow, he could tell jokes for 4 hours, non-stop, standing on his head playing the tambourine. Now that's bloody talent, isn't it, eh? That's bloody talent. And he'd never repeat a line. Oh, we missed him. He was sent home after telling a joke in a trench, had his big toe shot off. Absolute tragedy, because we never did hear the punchline, you know what I mean? Talking about punches, young Lester Ellis did a top little job, didn't he? Of course, I used to train young Lester. Good boy. I could always tell he was going to be a boxer, you know, because I was having a bit of a spar with him there one day, and he caught me with a right hand. Didn't I? We laughed about it later on down at Casualty there, you know. But Jack Dempsey. Now, there was a man. I once saw Jack go 28 rounds and he was still standing, and they were bloody pots in those days, I'll tell you. Oh, I think the show's about to come on, so I'll see you later, the 11th hour. So that's the 11th. I made that up myself. You watch, it'll catch on like blazes before you know it, young kids. All right, then. I'll talk to you soon and I'll see you all later. See you later, young kids.
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just really nice to see a girl who's funny and still attractive.
Her?
Her.
Her? She's revolting.
You couldn't call her revolting.
No, she's appealed to me, though.
How can she not appeal to you? She's tall, she's blonde, she's got big blue eyes.
Okay, I get the picture, all right?
What's the matter with you?
Just 'cause I'm short and dark, not blue eyes.
That is ridiculous.
Sorry, and ridiculous. You could really go for her, couldn't you?
No, I couldn't really go for her. She's on the TV, I'm here.
Yeah, but if you met her.
Even if I met her, I'm in a relationship with you, aren't I?
Okay, but if you weren't in a relationship with me and you met her...
I don't want to get in one of these hypothetical discussions, all right?
I just don't understand what you're doing in a relationship with me when you obviously prefer someone like that.
Who said anything about preferring her? All I said, she's quite attractive. OK, I admit. Maybe if I met her, maybe if I wasn't in a relationship with you, maybe if she took me into a room and put a gun to my head and took my clothes off and forced me to have sex with her, OK, maybe I wouldn't call the police. But...
You've been fantasising already.
I am not fantasising!
You've gone off me, haven't you?
I haven't gone off you.
Look, just admit it. If you've gone off me and you want to go out with someone else, just say so.
I don't want to go out with anyone else.
Look, the same thing happened with Bruce. He couldn't admit it either.
Bruce. I am not Bruce. I'm perfectly happy, all right?
Look, if you just want to be single, just tell me.
I don't want to be single!
Just tell me.
I'm perfectly happy in this relationship!
Why let your relationships degenerate to this level? Especially when a good divorce lawyer is only a phone call away. This has been a community service announcement on behalf of the family court.
Hi, my name's Alfalfa, and sorry about the stutter. Welcome to Godspot, or as we in the business call it G-Spot. What is Godspot? The today religion for wicked people, religion where no wrinkles fly. How did Godspot come about? We are a group of young people who are against organised religion. Like many other young people all over the world, we've been searching for the truth. And we found it, but we didn't like it, so we made up our own. What are our beliefs at Godspot? Well, we don't actually believe in beliefs as such per se, but we're a minority group who are fighting for the right to believe in what we believe, even if it is crap. We don't say your religion's crap even though it is. God is an unknown quantity in no uncertain terms. All our gods are true gods if we perceive them to be so. For example, I think my God is 6'4" tall and works out at the ultimate gymnasium. Godspot, how do we know at Godspot that all our gods are true gods? Well, we know at Godspot because think about it, if they aren't, who are? And if you know the answer to this question, could you give us a ring on the Godspot hotline, 983-0021? I'll repeat that, 983-0221, because we're prepared to believe anything. Or drop into our dropout centre tomorrow.
Right through here. Everyone, this is Ron. Ron, this is Robin and Jeff, that's
Ron.
Ted.
How are you?
This is my husband,
How are
Bob.
you, Ron? How are you, mate?
Ron's just moved into number 22. Sit down, Ron. Ron, since you're new here, I'll explain the way we work. We've got together to form a neighbourhood watch committee to just watch the street during the day and at night when people are out. Basically, we take it in turns. Robin does Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Jeff does Tuesdays and Thursday daytimes, I think.
That's right.
And Ted, you do...
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays. Oh, I'm getting confused. And Bobby does Fridays and Saturdays if he gets home from the Model Aero Club. And I do the other weekdays. So that's basically it. It's just a roster, and if you've got time, perhaps you'd like to help.
Well, sounds straightforward. Question.
Yes?
What are we all packing?
I'm sorry?
Well, 38s, 45s, 357 Magnums.
I'm sorry, Ron.
Look, I don't wish to tell you people your business, but personally, I prefer a 44 Magnum.
Ron, are you talking about guns?
Well, I'm not talking about brassiere sizes.
Ron, we don't have guns.
Oh? Well, lucky I came along. Now, I can do you a good deal. I got 357, 44 Magnums with special Armalite shelling. Leaves a large hole on exiting the body, just to be sure. Also, I've got a brand new Colt 45 automatic with pearl handles for evening wear.
Now, look, Ron, I think what Joyce is trying to say, mate, is that there's no necessity for guns.
No necessity?
No.
You're a citizen security force, and you go out on that street unarmed?
Well, look, mate, this is a very quiet neighbourhood.
Quiet neighbourhood? Where have you people been? Don't you read the papers? There are animals out there. You know, the last place I lived in was a quiet neighbourhood. Then the gangs moved in. Within 2 months, it wasn't safe to walk the streets.
We don't have anything like that around here.
Are you
though.
kidding me? Do you know that 2 nights ago a girl was brutally strangled with her own dress just a few blocks from here?
We didn't hear anything about that.
Well, it wasn't in the papers. Hush these things up. I mean, you don't think they're gonna risk real estate prices by telling you the truth? Jesus Christ, man! Society is disintegrating! For God's sake! The only defense decent human beings have is themselves!
Look, I'm sorry, but this is just crazy. There's absolutely no justification for this kind of paranoid reaction.
Ted, you a family man?
Yes.
What do you got? Boys? Girls?
2 girls.
2 girls. 2 sweet, innocent girls. Ted, what are you gonna do when one night 20 or 30 200-pound black bikers come crashing through that patio window of yours, coked out of their heads on smack and angel dust? Those guys, Ted, those guys are only gonna have one thing on their minds. What are you gonna do, Ted? Just let it all happen?
No,
to your wife and children? You're just gonna sit there and watch, Ted? What are you gonna do, Ted? What are you gonna do?
I'll kill the sons of bitches!
Hey, boy, now you're talking. Okay, Ted. Okay, Ted. How does this feel?
It feels good.
Damn right it does. Okay. Jeff. Robin.
Robin? Now, look, I don't know the...
Say, what are you? Chauvinist? Little ladies can take care of themselves. Right, girls?
Yeah, give us one.
And just in case they come in gangs. We got these. Joyce? Okay, guys. Let's go clean up those streets. Up against the wall, douchebag! Save it, Dad. Save it. Okay.
Now to fill you in on this Friday night's party activities, let's cross live to the 11th Hour Party Watch Chopper and Jelly Boy Johnson. Can you hear me, Jelly Boy?
Yes, Steve, can you hear me? I'm up here above 29 High Street, Armidale, at what looks like to be a bit of a goer. Yes, it's the Malvern Under-19 annual barbecue and spleen crushing, and there's plenty of activity here to keep your average partygoer well on their toes. Currently, from what I can make out, the host is in the shallow end of the pool, surrounded by most of his concrete garden accessories. He's being periodically bombarded by titties, roofing tiles and random members of the general public. Things are really hotted up now. It's peak hour, about 11:30, and that is certainly beginning to take its toll. The man next door, after several fruitless attempts at getting the stereo turned down, has taken the law into his own hands and is cutting a veritable swathe through the garage with a 16-pound hockey stick. A couple of trestles have bitten the dust already, so if you're in the mood for a cheesel or two, I'd pop on down before we're ankle deep in French onion dip. Refreshment situation's still good, with 318 is yet to be spared, and that'll happen just as soon as the CUB investigative squad disappear. Things are looking good now there. Better hurry on down before the crowd from the South Yarra Arms Lob. Oh, hang on, it's looking ugly. Oh, the coach has been strapped naked and screaming to the Hills clothes hoist, and the captain of the Malvern Presbyterian ladies netball team's smothering him in sapphire roll, Steve, and taunting him with a Black & Decker industrial sander plus attachments. Well, there's plenty more on hand, and we'll give you the details as soon as we get them. It's Jelly Boy Johnson for Party Watch, and back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Jelly Boy. Well, it certainly looks like a good night in Armidale. So let's have a look at what the weather's going to be like at the weekend. Here's our special weekend weather forecaster, Bettina.
Ta-da! Hello, Bettina here with the weekend weather forecast. Yes, that's right, the weekend weather forecast. My big spot on the show. Not that I mind doing the weather. It's just that they promised me the earth, and what do I get? The weather. Well, let's see what we've got. Well, look at this. We've got a map. At least it looks like a map, doesn't it? Where'd you get this from, boys? The back of the dunny door? Let's have a look at this map. My heavens, it's got Tasmania on it, hasn't it? We've certainly put Tasmania back on this map. So let's see what the weather's going to be like for this week. A high pressure zone over Sydney, as per usual, while the rest of the country is one big low, and a cold front over the producer's office. I'd like to say that the weather is going to be fine this week. Funny how often you hear the word fine, isn't it? How are my parts going in the show? Fine. How's the script going for me? Fine. Fine. Everything is going fine. The weekend weather is going to be fine, with some changes expected. And believe me, there are going to be changes here. So from me to you tonight, have a good weekend. Malcolm!
Thanks, Bettina. Well, that's just about all from us here at the 11th Hour. The 11th Hour, it's never too late. Please join us again next week for another comprehensive, authoritative and big roundup of the week's events. Till next week, remember, no news is good news. I'm Steve Izard.
I'm Peter Moon. What happened to that fat guy with
And
the...
I'm Marianne. And as we leave you tonight, for those of you who missed the 8.5 hours of Nicholas Nickleby, or who couldn't afford the $70 tickets, the cast has kindly consented to come here tonight to present us with a 2-minute version. Nicholas Nickleby.
Greetings, friends. My name is Nicholas Nickleby, and I shall be the spunk who shall stand on stage during a plenitude of costume changes.
Alas, my father has died, leaving my brother Nicholas the Spunk and I and my loudmouth bitch of a mother paupers.
Snow! Snow! Oh, it's freezing, it's freezing. And who might you be, sir?
I'm John Stanton. Don't you watch any television? And I play your wicked uncle who despised your father. And in the course of 7.5 hours, I will taunt you and try to latch onto your sister, you spunk.
I will not accept your charity, sir. I'm off to make my fortune. He's off to make his fortune!
First interval.
Oh, beauty, let's have a sandwich.
And a drink.
This art is a grouse filling. And look at the leather on the walls.
I be the rotten schoolmaster! You can tell I went to Nida. Who hit me? Who can I hit with my cane most savagely?
Snow! Snow! Outcast, O-U-T-C-A-S-T, acting, A-C-T-I-N-G. Why are you talking such a funny voice?
Another interval.
Oh, good, more sandwiches.
You want a jam cake, Carol? 1 minute. Cast, checking to audience.
I'm a milliner, Martellini. This is my Italian accent, Martellini.
32 scenes with the collector of the water rates.
42 scenes with the Newman Dodds.
Ah, a troupe of thespians!
Gosh!
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Snow! More snow! Will this show never end? E-N-D? Will you be my friend? F-R-I-E-N-D?
More scene, more costumes.
More acting.
A-C-T-I-N-G?
6 more scenes with the evil schoolmaster.
The sandwiches, thanks.
I'm going to beat the pants off that Nickleby.
Oh, I'm dying. C-Y-I-I-G?
Another bell, another interval.
My piles are killing me.
More snow! These seats are pretty uncomfortable.
Wedding bells.
Ding dong.
Standing ovation.
Humble.